the Bacta tank contains adult language and discussions. If you're easily offended, do not continue.
We would be honored if you would join us.
How are you feeling? Your latest workups on your condition indicate that all damage has been reversed. Recovery is total. I believe you have been quite fortunate. No further thanks are necessary, Commander, but you are most welcome. It is my function and pleasure as a medical droid to help and heal human beings.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Star Wars from the Bacta tank. Patreon exclusive, day number 4, David. Day number 4. Yeah, so
and
today...
away we go.
Yeah, away we go to our deaths, I'm sure, real soon. Good thing we start the show in a Bacta tank. Hopefully that'll keep us alive a little longer. Okay, so you and I are now going to be delving into Star Wars mobile games. The ones you should be playing are also the only ones
The
left.
only ones out there.
Which is, wow. I was surprised when I was doing research for this show today. I like, well, there's nothing left. How are we gonna? I almost called you and said, it's time to plan another show because there are no mobile games.
Well, it started off with a bang when they actually started releasing all these games, but now it dwindled down to about like 2.
Yeah. Surprisingly, not as many as you would think that are left. There was a lot for the first 5 to 6 years of the Disney era. Disney really trying to push the overall excitement, showing the world their deep pockets after they purchased Star Wars from Disney. They wanted to show everybody what can they do with Star Wars. But since then, almost all of them have been closed down.
Yep.
Some, Dave, only lasting a year or 2 at the most.
Oh, at the most, yeah. Some of those, and some of them actually had some really great concepts behind them.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there was one, I want to say it was Star Wars Uprising. Star Wars Uprising was one of the big ones to be released with a lot of applause.
Yes.
It was the one that was going to help fill in some gaps in story. Disney had everything going for that mobile release. It was the first one to be released on the back of the Force Awakens excitement.
Yes.
They had released Star Wars, I want to say Commander, a year prior. But Star Wars Uprising was the one that was going to delve into story because it was a hybrid RPG of sorts.
Yeah, where you could actually create your own character and build him into like an actual character in the story of Star Wars. And that was the amazing thing was like that game in itself was the one that when it first came out, between that and Commander, I jumped onto Star Wars Uprising first.
Yeah, me too.
Because you had so much potential for a storyline. And at first, it was really good because they focused on kind of you dealing with the criminal element in Star Wars after the Empire gets taken down.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of like, there's this power vacuum that basically got left when the Empire was defeated. Yeah. Suddenly, all these criminal organizations said, you know what, this is our chance. This is our chance to actually get out there and take over that power vacuum. And it made for compelling storylines that later on, you see it like in some of their projects now with Mandalorian.
Right.
Mandalorian, they're talking about that power vacuum that got left behind of, what happened when the Empire fell.
Right. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Star Wars Uprising should have been should have been way more than it was because they had everything going for it, Dave. It was dealing with the power vacuum, with the downfall of the Empire. I believe most of the story took place on a single planet with the underbelly of society, like you said.
Yes.
The underworld. Excuse me. And it was dealing with this blockade that the Empire was putting up around various planets so that the news that the Empire had fallen would not get out. They were trying to suppress the knowledge so that they can remain in control. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole setup, I still remember reading the synopsis when they first announced this game, before it even came out. I'm like, this is awesome. This takes place between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, and to be more specific, moments after the fall of the Empire or the destruction of the Death Star. Yeah. Dealing with the propaganda and silencing people, having the ability to create your own character. There was so much potential with this game, and it fell apart and fizzled because there wasn't a lot of support. There wasn't a lot of interaction. There wasn't a lot of community development. And we're going to get into that a little bit later because that's vital. If you want a game to stand the test of time, you have to manage it.
Well, especially
you can't just put it out there and then fingers peace out later. I'll see you guys in a year.
Well, especially in the mobile market, because mobile gaming is very different from console gaming.
Very different.
And like mobile gaming is their lifeblood is the community that they establish with their game.
Right.
And if you can't establish a really strong community, then the game's going to fizzle out.
Yeah, and also the thing with mobile games, a lot of times it attracts some of the same gamers that like consoles as well, but also attracts a whole other audience. It attracts the ADD audience, the people who need to do something while they're waiting for their Lyft or their Uber, someone who's waiting to get their bill at the restaurant. Mobile games have really taken off because they are marketed towards people who may not have the time to sit down and sit in front of that classic console. So you got to keep your games fresh. You have to keep the game new and unique and give people a reason to continue to log in, week out. Mobile games are a tricky thing. American gamers are a bit more cynical as well when it comes to mobile games, or as many call them, freemium games. That's a word that's been coined to describe free games with in-app purchases. I think most of us are very familiar with that pay structure there.
Oh yeah.
I think at times we might have dropped a couple $100 on games. Justifying that it was free. So you know what? I'll dump in $100. It's all right. Next thing you know, you're broke. It is basically a pricing strategy by which a product or service, typically a digital offering, obviously, right, or an application such as software, media, games, as in this case, is provided free of charge, but money, a premium, is charged for additional features and services. Now, the Japanese industry, Dave, they're all about this.
Oh, absolutely. In Asia and in Japan and
in
Korea.
Come on, that's racist, Dave. That's racist.
In Japan and Korea and China, mobile gaming is like a huge community. Every single game that is actually out there, I could actually attest to this because like the last time I was in the Philippines, they had internet cafes out there. And I was expecting, World of Warcraft, something like that, PC games. No, it was a bunch of like mobile games,
That's
Chinese
crazy.
mobile games that were actually being played, and people would come to these cafes just to play it. It's amazing in Asia with the difference in the gaming communities between Asia and even with Europe, Asia and the rest of the world. It's far different. But the beautiful thing about the Asian community in mobile gaming is they are super passionate about their games.
Yeah.
And there's reasons why some of those games last like years. Some of those games are going on like 5 to 10 years now still.
Yeah. Well, 67.6 million players are in Japan, and they will spend $19.9 billion in 2008, which makes it the third largest gaming market as a whole in the world. But this is where it gets even better for mobile games. In the online population, 41% of men and 32% of women, that's unheard of,
Yes.
demographic-wise, play mobile games, while 30% of men and 15% of women play console games. So the numbers dwindle drastically when you compare console to mobile games, especially when it comes to the female demographic. 77% of paying gamers spent money on in-game items or virtual goods in the past 6 months. This is the very reason this type of market research is what led, or this, I should say, let me backtrack just a second. This is the very reason. This type of market research is why Nintendo pushed into the mobile console hybrid market with the Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
Because they were looking at everything and said, everyone loves mobile games. Let's focus on mobile games.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer for that company, especially where that company is based.
Yeah, and it kind of irks me because if Disney wants their Star Wars mobile games to succeed, why are you not releasing some of these on Nintendo Switch? Why aren't you designing a free Apex Legends style? Or what's that other one the kids are playing? Fortnite. Why aren't you releasing a Fortnite or an Apex Legends type Star Wars game cross-platform and use Nintendo Switch as a springboard? Launch it there first where mobile gaming excels. That's how you get a game to work. Can you imagine if we had an all-out Star Wars, what's it called when they're all shooting each other, that name?
Basically a first-person, like a looter shooter.
Yeah, why are we not getting that for Star Wars? Yeah, we kind of have Battlefront, and maybe that's what, that took that away. But once Battlefront retires, I mean, put that money and strategy into a cross-platform type game and use Nintendo Switch as your platform. I think it would really work. I think it would really work in their favor.
I do agree with you because I think it comes down to the fact that stateside and partly in Europe, people do not understand how the mobile gaming market can work. We see it work fantastically in Asia, but that's because like people embrace the mobile market.
Right.
Here, people don't seem to. They see a lot of gamers seem to cross mobile gaming with console gaming and not realizing that they're two different things.
Right.
Like you cannot complain about a free-to-play game on mobile compared to like a console game like Battlefront.
Well,
like,
you can, but
you can. But
yeah.
the thing is you have to actually treat the two things as separate
They
because
are,
like
yeah.
in a console situation, it's stationary and also you're putting down hard-earned money from the get-go.
Right.
With the mobile gaming, the beauties of mobile gaming is you play it once and then you have to ask yourself, is this worth my money? And I always tell people, if it's worth $60, which is the equivalent of a console game on a game on a console,
Right.
then it's a good game on mobile gaming. If you're willing to just hit $60 right down, then it's worth it.
Yeah. Mobile games is where it's at for me. I feel like it's a market that is perfect for me. I'm on the go. I'm busy. When I'm at the gym on the treadmill, I don't mind logging in and building a few things if you're playing a strategy game, and then you have to wait 20 minutes for your buildings to erect. I mean, that's the smart way to go. And I understand part of the reason why the mobile game side for Star Wars may not have worked in their favor probably goes right back to the reason why all their movies don't perform. Last Jedi, Force Awakens, don't perform well outside of the U.S. There isn't that draw for Star Wars. For the most part, Star Wars the excitement, the Star Wars fandom, the nutcases like ourselves, there's very few of those nutcases that reside outside of the continental U.S.
Yeah, it's a different audience.
And I think if you want your mobile game to survive, Dave, you're gonna need the rest of the world to pop in as well, because you have the Japanese market that's just waiting for more mobile content. You have this Final Fantasy game that I played for about a year, and I would still be playing if I could control my spending habits. The reason why I quit playing was because I was just spending too much money on a free game.
Yeah.
But this Final Fantasy game has, as of January, has over 60 million people that have downloaded and are playing that game. 60 million. Can you imagine the amount of money they're bringing in? I sat down once while I was playing with me and my buddies, and we calculated how much one person, a player, had spent on his empires, what they called it in this one game, this mobile game, Final Fantasy: A New Empire, I believe is what the name. And we had calculated that he had spent over $20,000. No joke, Dave.
Yes.
$20,000. Now, this might scare a few people away from mobile games. Like, oh my God, is it like gambling? Am I going to be tempted to spend this money? If you have any bit of restraint, you're not going to spend more than you have. And you can justify, in my opinion, spending $40, $50, because if the game's free and you enjoy it, hey, guess what? How much does a game usually cost? 40 to about $60.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you may end up spending some money, but you don't have to spend, $15,000, $5,000. You don't have to spend $100 if you don't want to enjoy these games.
This is different than the argument of gambling and gaming, because like
there is some gambling aspects, sure, with the treasure boxes,
and loot boxes and stuff.
Right.
However, with Final Fantasy, especially if you take into context with Final Fantasy, that genre, there's so much they can do with it, and the community just embraces it so much. They say, okay, yeah, we'll bring it in. It's when you force the gambling, when you force them saying,
oh, you
hey,
mean like EA was doing with Battlefront?
And recently with NBA 2K,
Yeah.
when they basically openly said, here, you can gamble to get these players. And it's like, that's not the right way to do it.
No, I agree. But if they were to make a Star Wars game where they make it work, I feel like if they were, it didn't work with Star Wars Battlefront because the movie was not promoted in that manner.
Yeah.
It was a giant just FU to a lot of people who were waiting to play, who had already bought, the pre-release with all the extra, gizmos and whatever else you want to purchase, the extra $100 to get the special edition. And then they explain how it's going to work, and it was just a big FU.
Yeah.
But if you were to tell everybody right away, hey, this is the game, this is what we're going to do. It's going to be free to play, but there's going to be some gambling, loot crate type thing within the game that's vital to the progress. I think it could work. And I think if they could find a way to get Star Wars fans, Dave, to invest, because once you spend money in something, you're not going to log out and never log in.
Yeah.
Once you spend $20, $30, $40, $50, $60, the likelihood of you logging in every day or numerous times a day has just shot through the roof. And that's what Star Wars needs to focus on, or Lucasfilm. They need to focus on, yes, making a proper platform, a template of a game that will be satisfying to gamers, mobile gamers, but also they have to make some money. I'm not against making money. I'm 100% about capitalism. Make that money, but don't F us over at the same time.
Yeah.
Make it work for both parties. And if they were to design a game in that manner, I feel like they would have a success, a hit on their hands, because I feel like the purpose of any company should be to get a consumer to invest in a product. Once you invest in that product, you respect the product, you want to keep spending, and it becomes more important to you because you don't want to throw away your money. There's now a value to it. Now, getting right back to the Star Wars games, this is where a lot of these mobile games have failed, unfortunately. Now, I'm going to go through the list of games here, okay, that we have so far, that we've had so far. Okay, past tense, and there's some in there that are still around. Star Wars Commander was the first to launch when Disney bought out Lucasfilm. I believe this one came out in 2013.
Yeah.
Star Wars Uprising.
That was the next one.
Right, that's the one we were talking about earlier. Then there was Star Wars Force Arena, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Star Wars Galactic Defense, which came out and it was canceled almost immediately. Star Wars Rise to Power, pre-alpha, early access. It's still in pre-alpha for the past 2 years.
Yep.
Star Wars Rivals, pre-alpha, early access. You can subscribe to, or I should say sign up for. And guess what? It was canceled in the middle of pre-alpha. Never came out. Now, Star Wars Rivals was a game. I do not understand why they canceled it. It was going to be distributed and created by, I think, predominantly EA, Electronic Arts. And they let it go. And it had a lot of buzz because it was a first-person shooter, Dave.
Yes.
I don't think we've had a true first-person shooter since, do you remember that game Dark Force Rising for PC? Remember that game? That was the last true first-person shooter. Now, I know some people call Battlefront. Would you consider Battlefront for whoa, what happened to your mic? Oh, hold on a second. Your mic just cut out.
Hi, how's it going?
Wow.
Oh, there we go.
Wow, technical difficulties.
But the thing about Battlefront is a lot of people say, oh, it's a first-person shooter. Yes, you can put it in first-person shooter, but all honesty,
It's not a true first.
It's not a true first-person shooter.
Yeah.
It's third-person. It's Gears of War.
Right.
Because you want to see your character. You want to see, the whole point is to see those. If you can see your,
You want to see
character,
those butt cheeks run in front of you. Like, oh, look at those
Exactly.
stormtrooper butt cheeks.
you want to see the Emperor flying and his cape twirling around you.
Yeah, you want to see Rey. You want to back her up into a corner and get really close to her.
Get really
sometimes.
close. But Star Wars Rivals was the thing that I was like hearing about a long, long time ago. That I was like, going, okay,
Dude, we
this
were
was going to be.
you and I were super excited about this one. We had both signed up for early access.
Yeah, and I literally thought that this was Star Wars' answer to Overwatch, where it was going to be
It
that
could have been.
hero, that hero looter shooter that we all, as Star Wars fans, really wanted.
This could have been that whole what I just talked about, Apex Legends.
Yes.
Make it cross-platform across multiple mobile devices. You don't need to go console. You can keep it on specifically or solely mobile. But Dave, I think this would have been a game changer because the amount of enthusiasm when this game leaked online, it set the internet ablaze under those Star Wars hashtags.
Oh yeah, because like everyone was like going. Number one, they were wondering. All right, EA was planning on sending this out in mobile gaming and wanted to actually make a first-person shooter mobile shooter. Very ambitious, but at the time, everyone was like going, "This is something that we all wanted." If you put this on free to play on a mobile device, this is a win for EA. This is how you get back in the good graces. And then they canceled it.
Yeah.
Because and the first thing that I remembered when they announced the cancel was like the headline, Star Wars Rivals gets announced canceled. Thank you, Disney, for saving us all this money. Because everyone under the sun was like saying, if they released this game, it would have been the money bringer that Disney probably wanted for Star Wars.
Yes, you're right. And also it could have helped save EA's name when it comes to Star Wars fans, because around this exact same time, a lot of fans were very aggravated. Oh, very
aggravated, because this was actually one of the reasons why a lot of people were saying that Disney started looking at EA and questioning their exclusive rights.
Yeah.
Because at that point, they had not released a game besides Battlefront. They released 2 games. That was it.
What a bunch of losers.
And then they had all these mobile games all set up, and all of a sudden, one at a time, every one of them got canceled.
Yeah. I mean, this was going to be a free-to-play mobile title. It was set to feature characters from multiple eras of the Star Wars universe, which is key for me as well. I love all eras of Star Wars, and that was one of my biggest problems with Battlefront 2, is that this is supposed to be the sequel game, and we have less characters and less eras in the sequel than we had in the first one. We have no Rogue One characters. We have very few prequel characters. We have a lot of the original trilogy, and I feel like that is a direct response. I don't want to get into Battlefront too much because this is a mobile show. We're talking about mobile games, but I feel like them doing that, giving us mostly the prequel era stuff. I'm sorry, mostly the new era, the Disney era characters, and the original trilogy era. I feel like that is EA showing that they do not understand the Star Wars fandom. Oh, everyone talks about the original trilogy and people talk shit about the prequels. Here's original trilogy characters, and also Disney wants us to give you guys the new era.
I mean, listen to the summary that the publisher that was released from the publisher. It basically says, download Star Wars Rivals, the first real-time Star Wars competitive action shooter designed specifically for mobile devices. Take aim and confront your rivals with fast-paced shooter gameplay in both single-player campaign scenario and epic real-time PvP skirmishes.
I want it.
Collect a cast of iconic characters spanning all eras from the Star Wars universe, including Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, Boba Fett, Princess Leia, Finn, Captain Phasma, and more. Build the ultimate combat team. Anticipate your opponent's strategy and leverage your surroundings to gain the upper hand.
Yeah.
This could have been like Counter-Strike.
Dude, this could have been huge.
Meets Star Wars, which would have been really cool if EA just basically gave it a shot.
Now, this is the worst part about it. So when it was canceled, they were already opening it up. I want to say several thousand people were already allowed into this beta, and they were letting more and more people in every day.
Yes.
Disney said that they have until October 11th to play the game. This was last year. And Disney added that it wouldn't be offering any refunds for any in-app purchases that players had already made.
Because then they found out, after the 11th, it's closed.
Yeah, I would have been pretty pissed. Now, moving into what's left, okay? Out of all those games, there are, guess how many left? Two games. Star Wars Commander and Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Now, it's no surprise these are the two that have remained, because these are the two that I feel like Lucasfilm have put the most effort into. These are the ones that are being run appropriately, managed very well. And yet I don't get how they can't do that with their other mobile games. How obviously they know how to manage the games, right? Commander, Star Wars Commander has been around, is the longest. They just celebrated their 5-year anniversary, I want to say 3 months ago.
Yes.
Or no, in August, so last month. There's no wonder why this game has lasted. It's still fun, and the way this game is, and this is one, it's funny because this is actually the one I was going to recommend that people play. Star Wars Commander is a freemium strategy video game for iOS, Windows, and Android, developed by Disney. It came out in 2013, and isn't going to go anywhere. There's no sign that this game's going to be wrapped up. They're still doing updates. I want to say as of last week, they're doing updates. So if you want to play a game and you're nervous, let's say you really get into it and you want to start purchasing a few things here, $10-15 to spice up the game a bit, right? A little bit to advance your character or your military, I guess, in this game.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is to look at the website, look at their social media footprint, and see how active they are. If they're active on social media within, let's say, the last month, and they're updating their website regularly, then don't worry, the game's not going to go anywhere. they just announced Rogue One additions to the game. So they're still giving people new content. They're releasing new troops. This game's pretty fun. I don't know how you feel about it, Dave. If you like strategy-based games, but it's nothing in the way of unique. I'm not saying this game is cutting edge by any means, but it is fun because they mimic the strategy games that have performed well over the last 10, 15, 20 years. So there's nothing new here, but at least it's Star Wars themed.
It's Star Wars themed, and I think Commander is is probably the best one they could get out there. Galaxy of Heroes, which we'll cover in a bit here, is okay. However, you get more with Star Wars Commander because if you look at their interface, you look at all the design work that they did, there's more to Star Wars Commander than there is Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
And they've actually updated how everything looks regularly.
Yeah.
Like when I logged in 2 years ago, because I haven't played this for about 2 years, and I started playing last month again, logging in, it's like the same game. They didn't change it on me. Yes, lots of updates, but it looks like a brand new game.
It looks like a brand new game
Because
they're
it's-
constantly changing it.
They're constantly changing the appearance. It looks beautiful. It looks like a brand new game.
And I give a lot of props to the Star Wars Commander team because like they will add stuff that they understand that the fan base wants. Like you like what you said, they're bringing in the Rogue One stuff. But not only that, they actually do kind of actually veer into classic Star Wars where they bring in really obscure characters and you can play this character or a different character.
Yeah.
And that is partially why I also give a lot of props to them because Galaxy of Heroes, you get it's kind of like picking between two different vanilla ice creams. One has chocolate sauce and the other one doesn't. That's and unfortunately the one that doesn't is Galaxy of Heroes. It's good vanilla ice cream, but it's very plain.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in a second.
And-
I tend to agree. Dave, I
At
guess
least
that's a
with
good way of saying it.
At least with Commander, at least the team on Star Wars Commander, they give you stuff. They give you, and that's the whole point about mobile gaming. If you want to make a proper mobile game, you have to give content to your fan base.
Okay, all right. I get what you're saying. Galaxy of Heroes does do that. Not as easy or free-willing
Yes.
as, say, Star Wars Commander, but we'll get into that in a second, Dave. Let's explain a little bit more in depth what Star Wars Commander is. Star Wars Commander is a strategy game that combines attacks on other players with attacks against computer-generated bases. The game's storyline is set in the Star Wars universe, with players choosing to play for the Rebel Alliance or the Galactic Empire. That's fun because that's the most popular era, but it would be nice if they were to spice it up a bit and allow you to change eras if you want, or maybe work through the eras in a story mode. Notable Star Wars characters that appear in the game include Darth Vader, Han Solo, Chewbacca, Leia, R2-D2, and, of course, Luke Skywalker. The player can create their own base by earning coins and alloy. This game is similar to Clash of Clans, which I think almost everyone on this planet has played at some point, in the way that the player can upgrade their buildings by attacking other players and winning defenses. If the player gets attacked, they lose or gain medals depending if they get a win or not. The more medals the player has, the better their opponents will be.
Yeah, and the thing is, the game is not centered around collecting the heroes because a lot of the stuff that you can use in Commander is really cool. I can go and use an AT-AT
Or a Dark Trooper.
or a Dark Trooper.
Yeah.
Or on the Rebel side, I can actually get an X-Wing squadron to come in and just blast the entire field.
And I think that's where a lot of these mobile games fail, Dave, because they make everything about getting your favorite hero.
Yes.
And I think that's what happened with, was it Force Arena? I think Force Arena had a really good setup. I liked the game. I played it for a good 6 months to maybe even a year. But it became about what hero can I get next?
Yeah, what's the best hero to get?
And much like wanting to have sex with that one hot chick, and then you finally do. You're just like, okay, well, now what?
Exactly.
What now? That's what Force Arena was. I kept fighting and striving and wanting to get this character and that character, and then I'm like, okay, well then now I have them, and now I want this one over here, but I have to continue to upgrade this one to battle this guy over here. So that's the biggest problem. Is it's kind of a catch-22. Yes, we want to play our heroes, but at the same time, if that's the sole driving force to keep playing the game, people are going to get frustrated and they're going to get bored very quickly. With Star Wars Force Commander, or Star Wars Commander, I should say, they've never gone that route. You're exactly right, Dave. Getting the hero isn't the purpose. The purpose is to build a base, to build an army, and you get to have the stormtroopers, the scout troopers, the dark troopers, Rebel Alliance soldiers. You get to have an entire gamut of troopers that I think a lot of us like and are drawn to from the war side of things. So that is a huge, I think, win for this game. That it's not solely based on getting the hero. The game was designed as a way to get people involved in an ongoing, evolving Star Wars story. Yes, the story is superficial and light, but there's also a story that guides the game.
It's a callback. Star Wars Commander is a callback to the early I think it's maybe the early 90s, but late 80s PC Star Wars army building games.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a callback to that. And
remember Command and Conquer?
Command and Conquer, stuff
like
that.
Yeah.
And like people people have to understand, with this game, you're building an army. Yes, getting Darth Vader is cool, and he can destroy people on the field. But if I have a bunch of Wookiees, if I have like,
are you bragging now
50
about your
Wookiees,
army?
50 Wookiees against one Darth Vader, Darth Vader's going to get it ripped to pieces.
All right, dude, let's not brag, okay? You don't need to swing your dick around, okay? I get it. You have a big army.
That's the thing. It's building that army, building the army that you want. You think of yourself as one of those commanders on the ship.
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's a fun game to play. I'll definitely say that. And it's not my number one recommended game to play. Now, let's get into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. My biggest problem with this game is the incessant updates that changes the game.
Yes.
When are people going to learn? Developers, listen, change what's broken. Don't change what's working just fine and what the players enjoy. Now, the entire setup of this game is that you're in a cantina, essentially, with tons of options. Space battle, ground battle, gambling, purchasing mods, purchasing characters, battling against other people, joining a guild. The game is fun, but where the problems lie when it comes to this game is it is 100% about what hero am I gonna get next.
Exactly.
And it gets frustrating. And I understand EA's approach. I get it. They're trying to motivate people to continually log in and want to purchase those crystals, those in-app purchases, so that you can get the shards. That's what they're called, shards. If you get enough shards, let's say, for example, Han Solo is 70 shards.
Yes.
Well, you need to work towards getting shards. And you get shards through different missions, through loot boxes, all types of different ways, events. And they do this for every single character. And you find yourself playing to just get your favorite character. And then you play to upgrade your character once you get them. But while you're upgrading your character, suddenly a new character comes out.
Shows up.
And you're like, well, I was working on Darth Vader, now I want Revan. Or I want Darth Maul. And then now I'm working on 75 different characters, and I have no time, and it just confuses me. It's an OCD man's nightmare, because you're like, I want to work on him. No, I want to work on him. It drives me insane.
And
that's why I quit playing the game, because it was too much to do.
And this is one of the problems with mobile gaming, is like there is like a genre where it's like hero collecting, and
Well,
everyone
that's what this is, right?
it's hero collecting.
Yeah.
And basically what ends up happening is the developers say, okay, they want to get these heroes, let's give a certain price for these heroes to go get them, like what
Right.
you were saying. Han Solo is probably like 70 shards. Okay, work up to 70 shards.
Well, if you want Admiral Thrawn, get ready to work for about 5,000 years.
years, because it's gonna be like
I think he
1,000 shards or something.
Yeah, it's insane.
And then but that's their way of getting people to pay for those in-app purchases.
And continually log in because you got a goal set. You want mobile game developers want players to goal set
Yeah.
with these types of games.
And
they
at that
want you
point-
to want to log in because it's time for you to fight again. It's time for you to start collecting shards.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that one of the practices in the video game industry for mobile gaming that automatically turns me off on a game, because all the developer cares about is you getting those shards.
Right.
Buy those shards. At least with Star Wars Commander, they give you freaking choices. They say, hey, do you want to buy this? Do you want to buy this? How about this? This can help your army.
Right.
Instead, you're with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, you're like going, you want Darth Revan. And yeah, everyone wants Darth Revan.
Well, now that's where this game does excel, in my opinion. It is the game. It's the mobile game. Forget mobile game. It is the game that the most passionate Star Wars fan should play, because it gives you everything you want. You want you want Revan. You want Knights of the Old Republic characters. You want Solo characters. You want Rogue One characters. You want Star Wars Rebels characters. You want Star Wars Resistance characters. I don't think they have those yet.
Nah, not
I
yet.
doubt they will. Do you want original trilogy characters? Do you want prequel era characters? Do you want book characters? Do you want retconned characters from Legends? Go play Galaxy of Heroes. That alone makes it a fun experience. It just gets a little cumbersome, and because I feel like it starts requiring a lot of time to start playing. Now, this game is considered, as you mentioned, Dave, a mobile collectible RPG. That's the actual genre of this game.
Yes.
Now, yes, it sounds like a lot of work to collect characters, and Dave, you had mentioned that you got to spend money to get some of these characters, but that's not always the case. Now, I will say that EA and Capital Games has done a great job introducing new characters and then giving players the opportunity of getting them for free. Every time they launch new characters, they create events surrounding the new characters.
Yes.
It's your duty to pay attention to social media, where they tweet, or log in every day. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to log in every day, because when they were launching the solo characters, Dave, I was having a bad week, and I didn't log in, and I missed Lando. And I missed LG, what was her name? L3.
L3.
But luckily, I got in time to get Kira and Solo, and what was the character, I forgot her name, the girl that in the helmet.
Oh my God, I forgot her name.
Infest Nest. Infest Nest, yeah. I was able to get them for free by just playing the events. So, and they do this with all their characters. They did this with the Knights of the Old Republic characters that they introduced into the game about a year or so ago.
Yes.
And they allow you to play events, and you play through them and collect all the shards, and you have all of the characters within 2 to 3 weeks, as long as you're logging in daily. Now, if you miss, good luck. You'll probably spend a lot of money to collect those shards,
Yes.
or at least you'll be playing and clocking in a lot of hours trying to get them. And sometimes you're unable to get them. Like, for example, you can't get Thrawn except like once a year.
Yes.
Once a year, you have to know what's going on, because if you miss it, you have to wait another year. Thrawn's only available like once a year, and you have to know when they're going to launch the event surrounding his character, and then you can earn shards to collect Thrawn. And they do this with a couple other characters as well, a couple sought out characters, the more popular ones. They'll do this, and I think it's smart. It may aggravate some people, but I think it's fun because they're creating an event, they're creating excitement, they're creating a reason why you should log in. That's smart. That's a smart play.
It's a smart play. The only thing that I always feel that a lot of publishers that get this wrong is they don't support that play with the proper quality prize at the end.
Right.
Because that's what you're trying to do is get the prize at the end.
Right. It's you're essentially, eating away the Lucky Charm cereal to get to the magic decoder ring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like what you said, one of the things that Galaxies of Heroes does right is they do give those little prizes, and it makes you feel special when you actually do those. I mean, the Thrawn one is one that's infamous because, like, even outside of the game, people are like talking. There's a game out there that basically you have to log in once a day in a year. Don't know when. And it's the only way to get that character.
It makes it exclusive. It makes it feel
makes it feel special.
Like a VIP. Like, oh, I know a secret. It's time to log in to get Thrawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem with Galaxies of Hero and how EA approaches it, you get the character, and then what?
Well, yeah, it goes right back to my initial issue with the game. It's like, well, now what?
Now what?
Yeah.
Okay, I got Thrawn. Oh, wait, look, Revan's out. Okay, I want to get Revan. But I have to build up Thrawn. What the fuck?
And that's why this is number 2 out of our list.
Yes.
Because for Star Wars Commander's number 1, because there's a little bit of a story to kind of govern your gameplay. It's very light, but at least it's there. I feel like Galaxy of Heroes would be that much better if they give you a bit of a story to go along with the game.
And I do find that basically Commander's community is more interactive.
Yeah.
And that's very key in any mobile game is like the community. You got to actually be active. I mean, I got to want to actually log into the game and help out some friends.
Right. And
if I don't have a crew with me, it's kind of like, okay, an example of this is a game that's outside of Star Wars was Star Trek Fleet Command. Was like the community there was not very together. So like everyone was constantly on their own. And there was no reason for me to log in because, no one's going to actually bug me or no one's going to help me. So it's like...
Yeah, and when you say help, Dave, explain that, like, to people who may not be in the know with mobile games. Basically, it means if there's a mission you need to play, the whole purpose of having a community and joining a guild is that you can team up with your fellow guild members and they can help you
with
earn
events.
Points and level up and win events. And you're right. That's what a lot of these games suffer from, is the inability to create tight communities. Because it's funny you say that, because that's exactly what's on my show notes here. What can they do to keep these games relevant and from closing down within a year and a half, 2 years? And I have it right here. Create strong communities and community support led by game support team members. A good example, console games and computer games, Star Wars Galaxies. Back in, 2001, 2002, 2003.
Oh, yeah.
The first official Star Wars MMO game. The reason why that game worked out so well and stayed around for years is because of the community and the support that managed that game. Mm-hmm. They put together events. They put together holidays. They put together sales specials on holidays to buy new products.
I always remember the special things.
The whole economy. The economy involved in that game was fun. It was like a real working world. You had to work. You had to work through your classes in order to gain money. You gain money, you purchase. The economy of that game was so on point that it kept this world just moving on. I mean, I'm sure the support team could go away for 6 months, never log in, and the game would be running just fine because of what they set up and what they had set in place.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at the big example of any, I want to say, like type of mobile game. If you think about it, is like World of Warcraft.
Right.
Warcraft has stayed the test of time for decades because why? The community drives it.
Community drives it. Absolutely.
And if you look at like what happened recently with World of Warcraft Classic, where all of a sudden the entire community got excited because they're bringing back something that was special to them, and all of a sudden you have like wait times on the game that are like, I believe like 20, 30 hours.
Yeah.
And people are willing to wait.
Of course.
That type of passionate community has to happen in your game, especially for, I'm always surprised like major franchises don't have this, especially like Star Wars.
Well, that's where Star Wars could succeed. They need to focus on creating a mobile game that is powered by community. They need to set the entire thing or design the entire game around communicating and creating groups.
Yeah.
But not just that, Dave. This is going to sound really cheesy, but create lasting relationships. I think most of us know that are involved in some type of gaming aspect know that you can create lifelong internet pals through these games. And that's why, going back to what I said at the top of the show with Final Fantasy and New Empire, that game, it has stood the test of time. They also released tons of Final Fantasy games over the last 5-6 years for mobile platforms, and they have all been canceled. New Empire has stood the test of time because they created the entire game around events and community. This is what they need to do for Star Wars. The game support team puts together weekly events. They give you a reason to log in. They send you push notifications telling you that a war is about to start. Make sure you power up your defenses. Get with your guild. They create incentives and things for the players to win by working together as a group.
And we understand that basically, yes, there is something out there like that right now with Knights of the Old Republic. However, Knights of the Republic is only the actual true MMO.
It's a little limiting, dude.
It's limiting right now, and it's on PC solely. We're talking about mobile gaming.
It's an MMO, but I feel like the community aspect is very limited.
It's starting to get lax because they're getting lazy.
Well, with Star Wars Galaxies, you could hang out in a cantina in the original MMO.
Yeah.
You could hang out with a cantina and listen to people play their instruments. It's literally a virtual world. That's where Star Wars: The Old Republic has failed. Yeah, there's a couple different places you can hang out. You can hang out at the space station in Star Wars: The Old Republic and have a drink at the bar, and you can meet people there. But for the most part, you're all on your own missions.
Yeah.
Whereas Star Wars Galaxies, the missions will intermingle with other people. You can be attacked like a drop of a hat. You need your companions to roll with you. You always want to roll at least 12 deep when you go through certain parts of the world because you know you're going to get attacked by the other team. That's what they need to do from the mobile side. They have to. If they want to have a long-lasting mobile game that will earn them countless millions of dollars, they have to focus on the community and the support. They have to have the right team managing the game and creating reasons why players who are busy, like you and I, give us reasons to log in daily. Create giant events and get everyone involved. And I'm hoping that happens down the road. I'm hoping eventually Disney/Lucasfilm will understand what the Star Wars fans need and what the mobile gaming market will, or what I should say, what will work for the mobile gaming market.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to add to this discussion, Dave, when it comes to Star Wars mobile games? Anything you're hoping to see before we close out?
I really wish that Star Wars Rivals was coming.
Yeah.
However, it goes back to like what we were saying about like EA and Disney not taking risks. And Star Wars Rivals was honestly a risk because it is honestly kind of like it's like trying to create Apex Legends. When Apex Legends first came out, no one was talking about it. Suddenly it dropped, and then everyone was playing it.
Yeah.
With Star Wars Rivals, the thing that baffles me is you had that set fan base waiting for it.
It seems like Lucasfilm and Star Wars, and this goes right back to our discussions that we've had over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and you can just tie it right back into the mobile gaming side of things. It seems like Lucasfilm and Disney are afraid to fail.
Yes.
They're so afraid of failing that they just cancel things.
Yeah,
or they don't go through with planned games, planned movies. I don't think it's about saving money more than it is, hey, we don't want any failures. We don't want any failures because it's going to ruin the Disney track record. And with that mindset, they're never going to be innovative, and they're never going to be a trailblazer ever again because they are afraid to take a risk.
Take a risk.
And you can see that in almost every aspect of Star Wars. Forget about the other franchises for a moment. Just looking at Star Wars, you can see how true that is. They are terrified of taking risk.
Yep.
All right, Dave. This concludes this exclusive Patreon discussion, day number 4 of our beta of 5 days a week, right?
5 days a week.
Yeah, man. Hopefully we can get through this. We only have one more day. I'm enjoying it, actually. I'm surprised it seems a little easier than I had thought originally.
Well, because there's so much we could cover in Star Wars, in all honesty. There's so many things out there that a lot of people overlook but need to know about.
Well, Bob, when he found out what we were doing, he's like, Mike, 5 days a week? Star Wars? Is that something you can do? Is there enough content? Are people going to want to listen 5 days a week? I'm like, there's radio shows and daily shows that are on 5 days a week, and these motherfuckers are boring. Okay, I know I can entertain people 5 days a week when it comes to Star Wars and the content, please. There's just an infinity. I already have 2 months of shows planned out. And I have more on the back burner that I don't know where to put them yet.
Yeah.
So it's endless, and I'm hoping people are going to enjoy it. And if you guys want to share this link with people out in social media, please do so. Help us get the word out 5 days a week. Patreon.com/RainmanDigital. $5 a month. That's it. Subscribe to the podcast here. Make sure you tell your buddies. All right. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. May the Force be with us.